Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Gem of a Secret podcast. My name's Donatella My Secrets.
And my name is Coco Gem Holiday.
How you doing tonight, Coco?
I don't know why my voice got so deep just now. Just like it's a thing. I'm doing actually pretty okay. Like, funny story. So I was listening to another podcast that I like. It's called Crime Junkie. And by the way, listeners, me and Donna are gonna do a true crime episode, probably two of them, where both of us are going to explain our favorite true crime stories.
Do we want to have Shandy on for that too?
Yeah, I think we
have
should
to
have
let
Shandy.
her know.
Yeah,
but she's another queen here in Portland that's super into true crime, and she was excited about us doing that. So we're gonna have her on, I think, for that series,
yeah,
and we'll each do one.
Yeah, I think it'll be super fun. But they were like talking about how they like record podcasts. Like the one I was listening to, they're like, "Oh yeah, we should be out of quarantine by the time this one airs," and of course we're not. Anyway, so I was like thinking about, I was like, oh my gosh, they like plan like months in advance like that. Me and Don are always doing this like the day before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to do some research for this. So
yeah,
I think we're each gonna choose like a story that is LGBT or queer related, that is a true crime story, and we'll just do our research and we'll present it, and it'll be really cool, and we're gonna make sure that we're sensitive about it too, because true crime is real crime and there are real victims in these situations.
Yeah, and hopefully we can bring awareness to a story that needs media attention.
Yeah, exactly.
With all 30 of our followers. So
exactly.
So this is the fourth part of our series about queer media. So in this one, we're going to be talking about just like the things that are not movies and TV. So I guess we could have talked about books, but we have none of the books on our list.
No, we don't.
I just realized that.
Instead, we're going to kind of be talking more so about platforms and like the queer themes that were on them as they were kind of coming about, and then also just some of our favorite like web series, like internet comics or digital comics, and just stuff that we kind of noticed that was kind of queer and iconic as the interwebs was coming into prominence.
Yeah, so, and just as a side note too, like, I got really into for a while, this is so silly to even say this now, I loved the gay love stories, like 2010, 2011, 2019, like all, like, because there was always this series or whatever, and they're gay romantic novels, and they're mostly sexual or whatever, but they were so good. And I have to admit, though, that I actually understand why women were always super obsessed with, like, romance novels, because it played into a narrative that they might not necessarily get from like other media. And it was the same for me when I was reading those romance novels, and it was just kind of great.
I can say I haven't really read much queer content, which is strange, right? Like I haven't read like any kind of like young adult novels didn't really have queer themes in them that I read. Even though there were some that were out there, I didn't read much of that. Anything after that I read isn't really like, not much of it has been like queer storylines, which is unfortunate. I guess like some of the classical like authors and stuff I've read were gay or lesbian, but that's really...
So the only book that I can remember off the top of my head, since we didn't really prepare for the book section, is there was a book called Hero that I read, and I actually sought out like I wanted a fantasy novel that was kind of like Twilight or whatever, but it starred queer characters, and so the main character in it is gay, and yes, like we said in part 2 of this, the whole story almost revolves around this kid coming out of the closet. And the funny thing about this, and I'm going to tell Donna this, and she's just going to think this is so stupid. So the whole first chapter is about how he's looking at gay porn on his dad's laptop, and then he drops it or something, and it breaks. And so he runs away from home because he's afraid that as soon as the laptop is working, the first thing that comes up is the porn, and his dad is going to hate him. And his dad happens to also be a superhero, and he's a obviously coming of age superhero. And so that's the first chapter.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because, coming out of the closet is the worst thing in the goddamn universe.
I like that. So I do have to admit so I did try to read one young adult novel that was like gay themed, and I hated it. I hated it. And I think it was probably just because it was bad writing, or I don't know. Maybe I don't remember exactly what it was called. I probably still own the actual physical copy of the book. But yeah, no, it wasn't great. And I yeah, I just was like, okay, I'll just stick to reading like I guess Ram Dass is like technically queer. He was bisexual, so he came out later in life. But no, I don't like in the traditional sense of it. I don't read anything that's specifically themed that way. You know.
Yeah, and I actually the only other one that I read literally was about gay pirates. And there was always this huge secret. And
girl, it's like gay superhero in training porn, and then gay pirates.
And it was so. But they were supposed to be like novels. They were novels. They were young adult novels. They were about gay pirates. And the big secret in that book, just to ruin for everybody, was just the guy liked to wear women's clothes. That was the big secret that he was hiding. The whole book was that he just liked to wear women's clothes. My gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so cross-dressing pirates.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all the books I have.
All it was.
Seriously, that's all the books I have.
He was a doll.
Yeah.
He was looking for someone to worship the doll.
Oh, but I will say, no, this is the final point. The very last chapter is because the way this gay love story manifested is these pirates kidnapped these other, space piratey things or whatever. And so he was blindfolded the whole time, and of course he fell in love. So when he went to save, his captor, because, Stockholm Syndrome, he saved the guy and he heard his voice, and it turned out that the guy was black, and there's literally a line about him being a little disappointed that he found out that the guy he fell in love with was black.
Oh my god. So there was even the racism. The casual racism you get on Grindr.
The casual racism.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so actually, listeners, go ahead.
So what was it called? Like butt pirates in space? No facts, no femmes, no Asians.
No facts, no femmes, no Asians, no blacks. No rice, no spice. No fried chicken. Oh man. Seriously, I just thought about that now, and obviously, and as a young queer person, that was not helpful to read stories like that. So listeners, if you have some great fiction,
recommend
novels,
it to us. I could always be better read.
Yeah, I could
love
too.
Reading, actually. I just don't ever make time for it. Or I just read Ram Dass over again and meditate in my room over these awful books Coco's talking about.
Oh my gosh, they're so bad. So bad. Now that I'm older, I need probably some meatier content.
I'm traumatized.
Gosh, but I always wanted, and just this is about all the other stuff we're about to talk about too. I always, because when you were trying to come out of the closet, you kind of just wanted so bad. You wanted a character to be gay, and it just really sucks because you can get behind a queer story, but when I started listening and watching queer stories, that's why we're doing this series, I really was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I relate to some of those struggles a little bit and whatever. So anyway, moving on, I want to talk about podcasts.
Okay.
So one of the podcasts that I really enjoy, and of course there's millions of podcasts, and lots of them are queer centered with queer people telling their stories or whatever, but there's one I really want to specifically talk about because I didn't even realize that the main character was a lesbian, and it's called Alice Isn't Dead.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I listened to it on our way back from Denver, right?
Yeah. It was, oh gosh.
I had to finish it after that.
It was so good. It's so good. It's
so good.
It's by the creators of Welcome to Night Vale, which is one of my favorite podcasts in the universe. And literally, so Alice Isn't Dead. It's just this woman who's a truck driver. That's how technically it's a podcast. And and she's looking for her wife.
Her wife, Alice, right?
Yeah, she's looking for Alice is what's happening. Yes. And you don't actually know that they're together until I think a couple of episodes in. And you didn't even know that they were married till a couple of episodes in. And I love the story. And then later on, because once again, if you didn't know this, listeners, because we could have people who are listening who don't really know us at all. Actually, no, we have a picture of ourselves. Well, Coco is the black one on our picture. Donatella is the white one on our picture. Alice is actually, you find out later, you find out that the woman talking in Alice Isn't Dead, she's actually a black woman. And I just thought that, and her name is Keisha.
Keisha, yeah.
And that blew my mind to have representation like that.
Yeah.
I seriously so floored.
It's such a good story too. It has really awesome paranormal-y kind of elements to it, and then also just like there's this big kind of like underground like organization of like, I don't know, it's like this kind of like evil entity basically.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to see like how the story unfolds, and it's kind of like, it's very mysterious. Like you definitely get like all these like kind of creepy elements from it, and it's just a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the kind of stuff that I'm really into, and I hadn't ever really listened to Welcome to Night Vale a whole lot. I had listened to it a bit here and there, but I really love Alice Isn't Dead. It is a great series, and you should definitely listen to it and check it out.
Yeah, definitely. And the creators of Welcome to Night Vale, and so in Welcome to Night Vale specifically, the main voice is Cecil Baldwin, which is the actor Cecil Palmer, I think his name is in real life, because they always keep the first names the same. Anyway, he's gay in real life, and actually he's a guy living with HIV, actually. And so Dylan Marin, who is one of my, we're going to talk about him later, actually, is one of my favorite, he's kind of like a gay political activist and whatever, and he plays Cecil's partner, Carlos, the voice of Carlos. Nice. And there was this thing about, telling your truths and whatever, and I was looking at it on Twitter, and Cecil was like, he's like, I'm a gay man who's HIV positive, and it was just really, eye-opening. And that storyline was not actually, Cecil, you didn't know that Cecil was gay for the longest time, and I think he talked to the directors of the show, is like, can we make this character gay? And they're like, yeah, go for it. And it was, and it's a beautiful storyline. It's I remember reading the episode and crying. I think it's like a couple hundred episodes in, where Cecil and Carlos get married. And like being able to just like listen to that and just be absorbed with that narrative, being able to speak to stories that I've known, it was just such a wonderful moment.
Definitely. Yeah, and then of course you have your podcasts that focus on things like Drag Race, or our former Drag Race alumni, like Sibling Rivalry with Bob and Monet.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It is hilarious. Yeah, no.
They're both really smart, though.
They are, and then
crazy.
I just love the way that they bicker back and forth too. Honestly, like it's called Sibling Rivalry for a reason.
I just love the last episode I listened to. Was like Bob was talking to Monet, and she's like, "Yeah, my mama didn't like you when she first met you." And then Monet was just so floored by this. She was like, "Yeah, because you were like attacking me and whatever. My mama didn't like that." And like, Monet was just like, "What? You don't like me?" She's like talking to her on the podcast. It was great. It's so funny. It's That's so hilarious. Stupid. And I really appreciate the fact that they tackle hard issues. Because the thing about Drag Race stars, just like with any celebrities, you have to remember this, or even me and Donna, for instance, like, we're talking to you about, the stuff that we perceive and how we see it and our experiences, of course. But, like, we're not, like, it's not like we don't have degrees in some of the stuff that we talk about. It's all just our experiences. And so, but when you're listening to them, like, you're just like, wow, this stuff is, like, really impactful. And, like, I think that's always, like, really important when you're looking at any person that made it on Drag Race. Like, they achieved a level of success that most drag artists want to. Yeah. And so it's nice to just hear how they got there and just listen to their stories.
Yeah. And then if you're looking for something a little bit more Drag Race focused, there is Race Tracer with Alaska and Willem. Which is kind of, they just recap a lot of the seasons, and it's kind of something fun to listen to.
I like Alaska and William.
Especially
William.
Especially from Willem's perspective, because she isn't really like that involved in the like Drag Race like scene anymore because of her issues with like RuPaul and stuff. Like, it's cool to like see her perspective on it and like what she thinks of each season as they review it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, because the thing is, like, I super love Willem, and I like Alaska. I actually like Courtney Act, too, for the AAA girls. Anyway. But, no, seriously, like, because we don't actually have this one on our list either, but Willem's Beatdown, actually, on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Where she talks about other YouTube videos and stuff like that, is actually really funny. Like, she's just a really funny person. I've met her before, actually, twice. And she's just witty and always on. And I remember when me and Donatella met Jiggly Caliente from Drag Race season 4. Season 4, she actually mentioned that when she would talk to Willem, she's like, there is a point to where, us as drag stars have to be on. and it's something I've always took from me in my drag career about having to be on all the time, and and then you get to like relax in your own home and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're gonna continue talking about YouTube series.
Yeah, we should. I feel like I'm supposed to do this thing where I ask Donna how she's feeling, but I kind of don't give a crap today because she's me. No. Let's see. Sorry. Let me back up. Hey, Donna. How are you doing this evening?
I will let you know after this brief commercial break.
Have you ever been drunk off your ass at a gay bar during a drag show and thought,
you know what, I can do that.
That's too hard.
Maybe if I control the jello shots, I could have more for myself.
Then have we got a show for you. Cooking Up a Queen, a brand new limited series brought to you by the CD Studios. Over the course of a 10-week run, you'll be brought into the flagrant and fanciful world of queer nightlife, with Camp Wanakiki finalist Coco Jim Holiday and rising star of the Portland drag scene, Touche Douche. These two will delve deep into what it takes to be a drag entertainer, the do's and don'ts of newcomers on the scene, as well as discuss topics that you would never think would come up until you're a cross-dresser on the corner of 5th and Broadway. Trust me, you're going to want to pay special attention for that one because it's a lot. Make sure to tune in starting May 31st every Sunday for Cooking Up a Queen, available wherever you podcast.
It's a podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast. Tune into What They Tell You podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast.
I am feeling nostalgic because we're going to be talking about the internet back in its golden age. Is it the golden age or when it started?
I think. Well, I don't know. Actually.
I don't know. We're going to talk about 2007 and beyond. Let's start where it all began on MySpace, I guess.
Oh gosh, MySpace. So just come with us, listeners. Come back to MySpace. Come back to my top 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many was it? Top 8.
Top 8.
Come back to my top 8. I had Tom there. I know you had Tom there. We all had Tom there.
We had Tom there, and there were so many flamboyant characters on MySpace.
Yeah. And all of you who knew how to do CSS and HTML programming to where you could have really annoying stars that drip down your page.
Do you remember Tila Tequila, by the way? She had that show, A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila?
No.
You don't remember that on MTV?
No, I don't.
It was like the first bisexual dating show ever on
what?
MTV. Yeah. It was a reality show.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Tila Tequila became famous because of MySpace. She was
really?
the very she was the first person to get like 1 million friends on MySpace.
Oh, shoot.
And then she had like the most friends on the platform.
Wow.
So that's how she became famous. And then she had this show on MTV called A Shot at Love, and it was the first bisexual dating show because she was openly bisexual. And now she went crazy and is like very, very Christian and calls anyone who's like a sexual deviant a sinner, while she doesn't necessarily have like, you know,
a leg to stand up.
Yeah. Well, because she has, I mean, she was like a go-go dancer and stuff, and she like is very judgmental towards people. I think she might have some issues, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that was MySpace for me. That was my first taste of like queer MySpace. Anyway, Tila Tequila.
You know, it's funny. One thing on MySpace is I like to read people's notes when notes existed on MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, people kind of used it like blogs and diaries.
It was like a diary, and people would be, like, depressed like me. Like, I'd be like, I'm sad, and probably, you know.
God, and all the bad poetry because we all thought we were famous poets in high school. And just
oh,
ridiculous.
my God. Yeah, we did.
Oh, and don't you guys just remember how, like, if you moved a friend from that position in their top 8, it was the end.
It was the end.
World.
I remember that.
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So yeah, MySpace. Sorry.
Yeah.
Another person from MySpace, obviously, who's insanely problematic.
Yes.
Jeffree Star.
Yeah, he got famous from MySpace.
Yeah, Donna was telling me that, and I did not know that actually.
Yeah, MySpace, and then he started doing music, and then he didn't start doing makeup until after all the music stuff.
Yeah, the music wasn't good.
No.
I mean, no, it wasn't good.
It was okay. I mean, he had a song with Nicki Minaj, which was...
What?
He did.
Wow, I need to listen to that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
It's interesting. But, that asshole. Yeah, he's been around forever. Forever.
You know, there's tons of people we can talk about in social media, of course. But remember, this series, everybody, that we're talking about is how, like, me and Donna, like, either, you know, came upon, like, queer artists that we enjoyed or whatever, or how we use these platforms to, like, really understand queerness. And I do want to talk about MySpace real briefly on this specific subject. MySpace gave me the opportunity to see how people were living out. MySpace was the first time in my life, like, because remember, TV shows are fake, movies are fake.
Yeah.
You might know a couple gay kids in your high school, or maybe just one, or you were the gay kid in your high school. MySpace was the first time in my life I saw what someone's life was like when they lived out of the closet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that. And then after MySpace, other platforms started coming to prominence that were a bit different. You had platforms like YouTube. I think YouTube started in 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And I remember the first gay YouTube video I saw was that Davey Wavy YouTube of him sitting out on his balcony, and he's like, my roommate's jacking off, and he was talking about how his roommate was jacking off for him on his balcony. Oh, and he watched, and Davey Wavy was shirtless, and then he was shirtless in all of his videos after that. And
it's like a uniform.
Yeah, it was. It's
so ridiculous. I watch a lot of Davey Wavy's video because I feel like he's one of the first clickbaiters.
Oh, yeah.
For our older listeners out there, clickbait is the term used for when something is just really catchy.
Yeah.
He's like, watch
very
me.
Sexual.
Very sexual. He'd be like, you know, watch me lose my virginity, and in the video is just talking about what to do when you're gonna, you know, have sex for the first time or whatever.
Yeah.
So he would do a lot of clickbaity things, and
yeah.
And that's funny. He just released a video a couple weeks ago that I watched.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, how old is this guy? He's in his 30s.
Yeah, he does erotic films and stuff now, which is interesting.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, like artistic kind of erotic films. It's really interesting.
Good for him.
I think from what I've seen. So YouTube has a long history of having very awesome queer content creators. I really quick do want to talk about one of my favorite web series on YouTube because it is very iconic and it has some extremely iconic and funny characters. It's called The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, and that's by Brian Jordan Alvarez. It's on his YouTube channel. He got just this fantastic cast of queer characters together for this really funny kind of off the wall web series that has just these. It's just a very bright, vivid cast of queer characters, and my favorite character is Freckle, and she's this non-binary, or they are this non-binary character that is just iconic and has the best one-liners and the best dialogue in the entire series. And it's a lot about exploring life in LA as a group of queer friends, and I definitely recommend it. The comedy is top-notch in it. Definitely check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. So one of my favorite YouTube stars way back in the day, who has done some problematic things today, is Todrick Hall, actually.
Yes.
I've been following Todrick for a very long time because, you know, being black and queer and whatever, and just really getting to see those videos that he made way back in the day, when he was just, I don't know, I feel he was a true YouTube reality star, you know, and then made it big from doing those really viral hits that he did on YouTube, and I think that that's really admirable. Yes, of course, he's done some incredibly problematic things in his recent years, but he was one of the first people that I felt represented me a little bit when I was coming out of the closet and learning what that life was like. So
I just remember, I even remember Todrick's content before he was, out and proud as a creator. You remember when he was, in the closet? And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was very much in that closet.
Oh, he was. But, over time, he's produced some really awesome, features on that platform.
Yeah,
and
he really has.
A lot of it being Disney-inspired, and, it's been interesting to see the evolution of his career, for sure, even with the problematic history.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very interesting to see certain people that he's been able to boost up and stuff through them partaking in those projects, and it's some good quality. Like he always had decent production value and stuff on all the videos that he put out there and stuff.
Yeah, he really did, and it was well done. It was just well done.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, and just because I know our listeners are like, oh my gosh, what about this YouTuber? There's tons of
so
queer
many
YouTubers, but we're kind of just talking about, like, some of the firsts, that we kind of came across when we were, like, looking at our identities and just, like, understanding, because, like, those clickbaits, like the Davey Wavy video that we talked about, like, those clickbaits were really important to, like, my queer story.
Yeah.
To, like, because I wanted to, like, know how the other side was living. That's the thing, though. Like, the reason media is so important and representation is so important is because you don't even know how to act or react. Mm-hmm. Like, we know that we want to fall in love. Like, most people want to fall in love. But we don't even know how to do that. We don't know how to exist in our own bodies and be comfortable, especially with who we like and who we love. So when you see a person living so out on YouTube, being like, oh yeah, my roommate's like jacking off in the next room, and I'm also a queer person, I'm super hot. Like, it's different for us.
It is.
So my other favorite series that I just have to talk about because it's drag related is
Yes.
I love
I really do too, and I think most people do. I think that it's like honestly probably the most iconic like gay web series out there because it became a TV series even at one point. Later called what was it?
I don't know.
The
what
Trixie and Katya show.
Oh yeah, the Trixie and Katya show.
Yes, and then back to
YouTube. And actually,
YouTube.
it's still super solid on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, because I just watched, like, the last episode, and they're still so stupid funny.
Yeah.
And they're so smart about, like, crap. Honestly, it's like sibling rivalry to me. It's just, like, the way that they have this banter with each other. It's just so funny and comical and just the way that we all need.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And I think they have two very different comedy... I don't know. Their comedy styles are similar, but also at the same time, like, it's just... really unique, and so you never know what they're gonna say. And I think my favorite episodes from that series are the blooper episodes where it's just all the extras.
Yeah.
That's just random shit.
My favorite episode from was way back in the first season when Katya wouldn't shut up about talking about the movie Contact. And then out of nowhere, she came out and she took off her clothes and had a full contact dress on. I was like, this is the best thing I have ever effing seen.
Trixie was like losing it every time she'd bring it up.
Yeah, it was so good. I laughed so stupid hard. There's so many memorable quotes from that show, but seriously, take a look at it. The way you can find it is just by going to YouTube and typing like Trixie or Katya and then put UHHH.
Oh, isn't it UN?
I don't know. Like the second you start putting the U after one of their names, like it'll come up. It's such a good series to watch.
Exactly.
So we're just like the Trixie and Katya show, R.I.P. I want to talk about Tumblr.
Oh yeah. Tumblr was a great place for fandoms. It was a great place for communities to get together. I remember I would always get on there to discuss Drag Race, get the latest Drag Race leaks and spoilers.
Oh, that's where you would get your links from, was Tumblr.
I would get all the leaks from there, and anytime there was an episode that I missed, I would watch it that way, or I would, like, if there was a leak where it came out beforehand, then that's where I'd get it from.
Yeah. And now you do it from Reddit, which isn't on our list today. But I don't know how to Reddit.
Reddit is so much more moderated than Tumblr was. Tumblr was not really moderated at all. Like, that's why you had porn everywhere. Like, good amateur porn on Tumblr.
Oh, Tumblr had the good porn. Oh my gosh.
I love amateur porn.
I do too. But true amateur, like, you can't find that on the tube sites.
No, you can't.
Oh, and honestly, and I know that some of our listeners here didn't, and I have to say this because this is just funny, and I think you guys just don't really understand. So now there's tube sites everywhere. Like, we all know what YouTube is right now. There's 1,000 of those sites for porn that are all kinds of porn tube sites and whatever that are just free videos. You can search for what you want, blah, 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 blah.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah. So but before those sites existed, like, finding porn on the internet usually meant you were getting a virus.
Yeah, I did.
I have to throw that out there.
But I do notice that those sites are kind of limited, and I don't get, like, all of the stuff I used to like from Tumblr.
Yeah, Tumblr, would you, like, what I like to
wish
say.
that I could go back to, like, my history of saved videos.
Oh
and,
my
like,
gosh, I had
you
a
know,
nice list. And, like, as I'd like to say to my mom who's listening currently, you can find the good strange on Tumblr. On the tube sites, it's way too moderated.
Exactly.
Honestly, it is.
Yeah.
So Tumblr was so good. and actually, but the thing about Tumblr is I used to share articles from Tumblr because people, like, in between the thousands bits of porn, like, some of my favorite out and proud people would also post an article that resonated with them, or like they would share a really introspective meme. Like, I can't find the good memes on Facebook like I used to find on Tumblr. Like, Tumblr would be somebody's true definition of who they were. They would create something.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I would express myself so, and it was because I was expressing myself mostly to strangers that I felt very open, like, posting on my Tumblr.
Yeah, because it was like Tumblr. Facebook is regurgitated. Tumblr felt unique.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And because you were followed by a bunch of people that you shared fandoms with, had common interests with, or was a porn blog that you followed, or, you know, something like that. Like...
And because Twitter... And here's the other thing, though. And this is where Twitter messed up on this. So, the thing about Tumblr that also made it great is that I could like content on Tumblr, and I didn't have to share that with anyone else. On Twitter, everyone can see everything I do.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about Twitter.
Yeah.
Because if I like something that's problematic on Twitter, it'll appear under the things that I liked.
Yeah. Yeah. It has its own little feed.
Oh, gosh, it's so awful. And I want to turn that off so bad. If you know how to turn it off, listeners, tell this old man how to do that. Because I want to like stuff on Twitter.
A whole lot. Yeah. I'm just not on Twitter a whole lot, even though I have one.
I have one too, and I try to use it, but the thing is, and I know this makes me sound super old, like, Twitter is a place that I follow politics, actually. Like, I follow politics and porn stars on Twitter, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to find the other stuff that I like, and hashtags just make me feel uncomfortable.
Are there any Facebook pages that you like particularly that are queer?
Yeah. So, like, the Leslie Facebook page has been around for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
I actually do remember people sharing memes and stuff from Lizzie. I'm not on Facebook currently, but I do remember that page specifically. And I also, that's actually, so Facebook is probably how I saw the Adam Ellis comics that I love so much.
Oh, yeah, that's how I saw them before I went to Webtoons.
Yeah, so his name's Adam Ellis, and you can find him on Instagram at AdamTots, I believe. And he has some really funny webcomics that are queer friendly, and I relate to many of them, especially the one about, like, becoming a witch of the woods or something like that. He has, like, some funny...
That's so funny.
He has some really funny webcomics about, you know, being gay and loving, like, gemstones, like I do.
I also, and just real briefly, some of my webtoons that I follow is, like, I think My Boyfriend's a Dictator, and I also follow Castle Swimmer and The Croakening, and, like, these are some webtoons that I really appreciate, and they honestly just come up in my feed on Facebook because, you know, they're listening that I like gay stuff, so, like, hey, follow this webtoon. And I do like some queer stories. I do. Like, I will buy into that stuff all day long. I mean, seriously, listeners, if you're below the age of 18, sorry about this episode, but also at the same time, like, go find that content. Like, listeners, post your favorite webcomics and people to follow on Facebook and YouTube series.
Find that content if you are 18 plus.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. One thing that I do want to say, because we're going to get towards the end of our episode here, I think we're going to probably do one more as a bonus episode, because the one thing that we forgot to talk about was musicals.
Oh, yay.
We totally forgot to talk about queer media being musicals, too.
I mean, I think that can just be its episode within itself. Yeah. Like a whole episode about musicals.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think as far as the future of the internet goes and the future of, like, queer media goes, it's really interesting to see the things that happen on TikTok, and that's kind of, like, where it's going right now. Especially being quarantined. We're seeing more of that. I think ending the episode just kind of talking about some of, like, the new forms of media that are out is a good way to...
Yeah, because, like, after the end of Vine, obviously, like, Instagram and, you know, Facebook try to do those little clips of videos and whatever, and that's great. But TikTok really like pulled it back together. And TikTok is just really good about showing you stuff that you want to see.
Exactly. I think the algorithm on TikTok is just really accurate per individual user.
Yeah.
Like, I find stuff that I like vibe with and relate to all the time. It feels like it's reading my mind sometimes. It's a little weird. But
I dive into that hole. I get stuck on TikTok for hours.
Same. and it's all just stuff that is like to your identity. Like so many really great queer content creators on there, and it's not just 6 seconds like Vine used to be, you know, like it's, you know, minutes of content that people can, or like a full minute I think is the longest that you can post or something. But it's still really cool. I don't know, I love it. There's a lot of artistic, creative people on there and a lot of great queer content.
And I know that some of the newer platforms, like even like Twitch, because Twitch is a streaming platform. Like you stream to Twitch is kind of what it is. And so there is a lot of queer content that's out there. Like I think they had, like Bitch Puddin has her show that she does, and it's streamed to Twitch and whatever. And like, so there are new mechanisms and new ways that our information and our content is getting out there for people to see and absorb. And like I've been saying this whole series, just feel a little bit more normal. But one thing I love about TikTok the most is like it showed me a lot of like really fat body positive people like doing like the TikTok dances or, you know, talking about specific issues or making funny content. Because I feel like in Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, like fat people are only valued if they have a cute face. But in TikTok, you'll see bigger people who are just existing, having a good time. Yeah. And it's just so great to see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listeners, I believe that concludes this week's episode of A Gem of a Secret podcast. My name is Donatella My Secrets.
And my name is Coco Gem Holiday.
Please tune in next Thursday, and we will be uploading every Thursday. Please rate, like, and subscribe, and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts because that really helps us.
Yeah, and remember, on the first Saturday of every month, we have our Introvert Show, which is an all-online show, so anyone in the world can watch it. It is PG-13. You can get your tickets at www.thecdsdrag.com/introvert. Those tickets again are at www.thecdsdrag.com/introvert.
And that's CDS as in cat, dog, and snake. Snake. Cool. Cat, dog, snake.
Cat, dog, snake.
At catdogsnakedrag.com. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This has been another episode of A Gem of a Secret podcast. The hosts of A Gem of a Secret podcast are Donatella My Secrets and Coco Gem Holiday. You may follow Donatella My Secrets at Donatella_My Secrets on Instagram. You may follow Coco Gem Holiday at Coco Gem Holiday on Instagram. Original music by Touche Douche and Party Favors. You can follow them respectively at The Touche Douche and at Party Favors Music on Instagram. For more exclusive content, visit www.agemofasecretpodcast.com. That is AJEM of a secret podcast.com. Be sure to tune in every week on Thursday for a new episode wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any comments or questions, email us at agemofasecretpod@gmail.com. Please don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.